Hello, this is Vance, and this is Monday, October the 2nd, 2017. These are the sale trades for today using the slow hand method for price action. Okay, last night, overnight, we had a significant decline. Well, I wouldn't say significant, I suppose, but when prices opened, we've been punching over the last couple of weeks above $50 a barrel. And a number of reasons for that. Much of the press has been talking about, and a lot of the analysts around the world are calling this a rebalancing. And finally, the rebalancing or prices of oil should be above $50 a barrel. They're looking at various issues that are taking place. Some of it else had driven prices above $50 a barrel. The potential renewed embargoes with Iran because of the issues that they have with nuclear power. Problems in Venezuela with a decline, a number of rig counts that are down in production in the United States is starting to feel the effects of declining rig counts, as well as it's seemingly increased demand in some areas, Europe and in the United States, which it looks like a potential that there's going to be more oil used in the not too distant future than has been, and of course OPEC going to extend or talk of extending the cuts going forward, production cuts. So all those areas had really pushed prices up significantly over the $50 mark. Now, what do we have now? We have last night we had a reasonable decline, which really happened in the overnight. And if you look at pricing from last week, last Friday, the price had got as high as $51.77, almost closing on $52. Prices has wound down in the overnight. Now, let me talk about where it wound up. You see, this is the overnight, and pricing opened at 9 o'clock, and this is 9 o'clock right here, right in this area. So you see, this is 9 o'clock, prices open. So we have this decline in the overnight, prices open right here, up a little bit higher. There's still some downward pressure, so price kind of sells off again to 923. Now, the challenge right here is, do you get into this price now with a decline of this magnitude, especially in the overnight, and it's really kind of unbroken, and it started really at 4:30 a.m. declines to we see the low 51.56. Let's say it starts to decline and it winds up at $50. So it's over $1. Pricing, does it have enough buyers stepping in the market to reel this back in? Don't know if we're going to really retest these areas. What really happens at the open is prices does sell off. We have a bit of a bounce. We have retreats. Now, the challenge here is that, I've talked about this in the past, is about rotations. And if you look at 30 ticks as the rotation of movement, that's why I use 15 ticks as a stop, because if the rotation on average is going to be 30 ticks, 15 ticks is a reasonable stop. So you keeping that number in mind, if I just expand this from the 9 o'clock hour, you look at the fact that this is 15 ticks. We look at pricing breaking down to here. If you keeping in mind that the general trend from the overnight has been down, and so if we keep that in mind. So I'll just kind of draw this on here to. If we look at the general trend from the overnight has been down in this direction. This is right at 9 o'clock. So we've had a decline. Now, would you get on this? I mean, could you get on this trade? Well, usually want to wait until, where the price action is really going to wind up. So for instance, if this is the high, this is the first bounce before the opening, and is the momentum, when you look at this at 9 o'clock, pricing come down here, this is a second entry long. Do you take this long from off of here with the idea that it has enough room to get out? I don't know. There's all these bars here are kind of big from a pressure standpoint right at the open, and in this case, because of this strong move overnight, I'd like to wait and see. Unfortunately, there's really no reason to go short here. I mean, you could say if you take a short at this area, but that's pretty dramatic move really at the open. I don't know. So I was thinking more waiting more than anything else. Prices do break down a little bit further. And if you look at it from the perspective now, we have this really kind of, it goes into a reversal type of pattern, but again, it's still really at the bottom of the low of the day, and to go long or take an opposite trade at the low of the day is a challenging thing to do, because prices can continue to go up. Like the idea is this the trend, the established trend? Well, the only thing that I can suggest for individuals who are looking at trading, what I was thinking is that after this move down, there's really no follow through. So you're expecting within the first hour or so, or half hour anyways, this price to really drop off. We didn't really have that. What we had was that we had this below where the low of the day was, 15 ticks before 20 ticks before it comes back up, moves back down, comes back up, moves back down. So you have to say that it's really bouncing as it found a bottom in this area. Would it be worthwhile taking along at this point? Again, this is a real judgment call. The fact of the matter is that 15 ticks to get off your first contract may be the way to go. So I'm not saying yes, I'm not saying no. Pricing gets to this area, we have another. It can't break through where the previous low was. Turns over, it comes back down in this direction, and we have another strong move down, relatively strong move down. Now, this would be more along the lines of where you would probably be more inclined to take a low right here. I didn't, but this is the area where you would perhaps look at, because your stop would be above here. Ideally, you'd be one above this one, but and if you think this is the bottom, we may retest this kind of area. Again, this is more of an aggressive trade, but you can see that this would have worked out. I would have looked at going long at maybe this area, but prices didn't really set up. You want to see something like this before you even take a hint of going in this direction. Likewise, you'd like to see something like this before you take a trade in that direction as well. So is this enough of a hesitation to go short here? And is this enough of a hesitation to go long here? Well, this is a no here. This is a maybe right in this area. Down when price moves a little bit down the low of the day, again, you can see once it breaks this trade, you can see this movement like this. And this is probably a place where you could look at going long. Again, at this point in time, I'm thinking that this area is setting up more to be as a range at the bottom of this trend, as opposed to going down. So I'm not expecting prices to go down any lower than this at this juncture, but this is about 11 o'clock. Now, it turns out that was a more reasonable expectation, because later on in the day, and if we look at it from the perspective later on in the day, prices move up to where the opening the opening price was, pulls back down, goes into another rotation area, and then you can say that this is another right here. A little bit of a range here. You can say that this was and this is kind of the range here. As you can see where I've drawn these lines. This is maybe just an extension of this, here. And this is really late in the day. This is like 2:30. So if you're looking at adding up trades, perhaps looking at this is a short here. This is, but it didn't really shake out. This perhaps is a long. At these bottom of the area, you have to remember, if price is testing twice, this is where you'd perhaps look at going long and short. You can see this, the short late range on a shorter time frame right here. Looking more along the lines of prices moving up. First pullback to here, maybe another pullback here. But this is quite a bit overlap. I'm looking at maybe an extension up in the same, a measured move up. And you can see this this kind of made its way up here. Turnover, maybe range, but this is late in the day. We're talking 1 o'clock here, and as you can see, things are just slowing down. So what does that mean? Well, this is the kind of thinking that I'm applying as far from abroad. So I'm looking at the context, or looking at a pretty large area at the bottom of an overnight sell-off. So I would say that like a range day more than anything else, but trying to eliminate the movement from the overnight, because this is significant. Because if you keep this in the back of your mind, we're thinking there may be a retracement back up to this area. depending on what the news is going forward. See what how buyer seller perspective is going into tomorrow. Okay, so that's kind of just a real short recap of what happened today. I know there's nothing in any specifics. I've got some video, but over the last few days that I can put up, I'm going to edit that and try to get it out this week. So thanks for being patient. Thanks for watching. This is Vance. Have a good day.